All right, what is going on? Jordan Sherwood, Wood on 1063, FatJackSports.com. Big fight card this weekend, UFC 262, where we're going to crown a new UFC lightweight champion of the world as Khabib Nurmagomedov has hung it up. And we got Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler fighting for the undisputed championship of the world, or the vacant championship. And then a pretty sick co-main event in Beneil Dariush and Tony Ferguson. Our picks are pretty outstanding right now, 33-12. Over the last 7 weeks. We've got more selections, including opinions in the main event and co-main event, but not part of our premium selections. But beside the point, Oliveira versus Michael Chandler should be a sick fight. I mean, Charles Oliveira, to think like where he was or where he was, 10 years ago when he made his UFC debut, and now he's, on the cusp of potentially becoming the UFC lightweight champion of the world. Some pretty outstanding statistics when you look back at Charles Oliveira, who has evolved from just being this outstanding Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner, and now he's just got a phenomenal all-around game. Listen to these statistics about Charles Oliveira. Most submissions in UFC history with 14. He's tied for the most finishes with 16. 17 post-fight bonuses. I think he's just a shade under $1 million in post-fight bonuses throughout his UFC career. And he's evolved. I mean, obviously, I think we saw that on full display his last two efforts, the submission victory over Kevin Lee, unanimous decision victory over Tony Ferguson, and gets his shot against Michael Chandler, a guy that, obviously he came from Bellator, came with a lot of hype, outstanding All-American wrestler, powerful striker, now spending time at Sanford MMA down here in South Florida under the tutelage of Henry Hooft, and he's got obviously all the animals to train out there. He's got his opportunity to prove that he's the best lightweight in the world, and he's wanted to prove that for quite some time. A little bit biased because I got to see Michael Chandler fight Eddie Alvarez live at Hard Rock Live down here in South Florida. Greatest fight I've ever seen. No one could argue against it. It's the greatest fight that I've ever seen when he defeated Eddie Alvarez to become the Bellator lightweight champion of the world. It's going to be a difficult task for for Michael Chandler, and I understand why Oliveira is a slight favorite. He's a $1.35, $1.40 in some places. I think he's got more ways to win. Here's the issue, though, if you're backing Oliveira. He's been cracked and stopped before. I mean, this is a guy that's, suspect chin a little bit. The loss to Paul Felder immediately comes to mind. He got submitted by Ricardo Lamas. But granted, those fights were at 145. And when he's moved up to 155 pounds, he's been a different beast and a different, fighter altogether, having won 8 fights now in a row. But Michael Chandler looked pretty good. I didn't pick him against Dan Hooker. I thought that Dan Hooker, the length, the experience, just the guy that he's gone through from time and time again, was going to be enough to get the best Michael Chandler. Because Chandler's lost before. Outside the Brett Primus loss, he's been stopped before. So there's been some, significant issues from time to time again. But Charles Oliveira deserves to be the favorite. We've given out Oliveira to win as an opinion. So it's not a premium selection at FatJackSports.com, but we believe Charles Oliveira, the variety, pressure striking, and he could just pull a submission out of nowhere, and the guillotine. Got to pay attention to the guillotine because that's going to be the ultimate defense for a wrestler looking for takedowns and trying to implement his striking. So pay attention to that. Co-main event, what Tony Ferguson shows up. He's 37 years of age right now. He's lost his last 2 after that phenomenal run throughout the lightweight division where he was trying to challenge Nurmagomedov. He does not look like the same fighter. Justin Gaethje was better in Abu Dhabi way back then, or excuse me, that was in Jacksonville. And then, obviously, the most recent loss to Charles Oliveira. The quirky, athletic, can fight you anywhere, submit you from anywhere, outstrike you, pace you. I don't know if that's working anymore. And Beneil Dariush is another animal. And despite that he had a little bit of a stumble earlier on in his career, he's now on a meteoric rise. He's got great striking. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu wizard, and it's a 3-round fight. So he can put the pressure on for quite some time. What Tony Ferguson shows up. We agree on the value with Beneil Dariush at $1.70. Again, it's an opinion. It's not a premium pick. But we think that Tony Ferguson is just not the same fighter. And Beneil Dariush is peaking at the right time. This is him, the dad bod guy, his ability to challenge for the lightweight championship with a victory over Tony Ferguson. Some of the other fights that we're looking at, Mike Grundy, Lando Venata, we do have a selection in that fight. Mike Grundy is an outstanding wrestler. Lando Venata has been taken down in every single one of his mixed martial arts fights. We think the same is going to happen there. So there you go. There's a premium selection already given to you by FatJackSports.com. We think Mike Grundy is going to win the fight and win it pretty handily. The other fight that's outstanding, Shane Burgos and Edson Barbosa. How the hell did Edson Barbosa get down to 145? He successfully made weight earlier on Friday. He was struggled a little bit at the weigh-ins, but that guy cracks. He's got outstanding leg kicks. Great story. He probably should have won his last fight against Dan Ige, but he didn't. And Shane Burgos is a hurricane. I mean, he is the hurricane. He comes at you in waves, constant pressure. And what has foiled Edson Barbosa in the past? Constant pressure. And that's what Shane Burgos brings to the table. We have a selection in that fight. It's not on the winner. It's on the round total. So FatJackSports.com. Go out and check out something for that. Outside of that, we believe there is also value in Rodrigo Bontoran and Matt Schnell fight on that fight. We look at the two last fights that both of those guys had. We couple that short turnaround for Bontoran, but again, it's at a different weight class. We've got an opinion on that fight card as well. The bottom line is the main event is silly. The co-main event is sick, and we've got some other great fights spread throughout the card. I'll be on with Josh Cohen and Home Team a little bit later on today. I'll be on VSiN tonight. Of course, you could always DM me, Wood on 1063, if you've got some selections. But again, how great a story would it be to see Charles Oliveira, a guy that made his debut undefeated at 22 years of age, 10 years later, get an opportunity to become the lightweight champion of the world? Or for Michael Chandler, a guy that wanted to be considered the best of all time, gets his opportunity to become the belt holder. It should be a silly fight. FatJackSports.com. Wood on 1063. Enjoy the fights. And oh, by the way, best team in baseball.